So how do you actually survive and maybe even thrive in this crazy, chaotic new world of work? It's a question we all have to ask ourselves. We're going to dive into some really powerful ideas from the book Tomorrowmind, and it all kicks off with a story of a total professional disaster.
Just imagine having to say those words. That's a direct quote from a guy named Graham Payne, right after his name got plastered all over the internet, tied to one of the biggest corporate failures you can think of. So what on earth happened?
You see, Graham Payne was, by all accounts, the perfect employee. He was an early adopter, an expert in a brand new field. I mean, this is someone who spent his entire career learning new skills. He did everything right, until he got a new title, the human error.
The scale of this thing is just mind-boggling. Back in 2017, Payne was a senior exec at Equifax. A software vulnerability that people knew about was exploited by hackers. The result? A massive data breach that exposed the personal info of nearly 150 million Americans. In the chaos that followed, Payne was publicly named in a congressional report, and he was fired. It really looked like his career was toast.
This brings up a pretty terrifying question, doesn't it? If someone who played by all the rules could have it all just fall apart, what does that mean for the rest of us? The thing is, Payne's story isn't just about one guy's bad luck. It's actually a symptom of the completely wild new environment we're all working in.
The authors of Tomorrowmind have a fantastic name for this new environment. They call it the whitewater world. And it's such a perfect metaphor. Our work life isn't a calm, predictable river anymore. Nope. It's more like a series of churning, unpredictable rapids that can flip your boat over at any second.
And this timeline really gets to the heart of the problem. For 200,000 years, our brains were wired for a forager's life. Now, the shifts to agriculture and industry, sure, they were rough, but they happened over generations. Today, the pace is just insane. We can expect to totally reinvent ourselves not just once, but multiple times in a single career. And if you want to put a label on this chaos, you can use the military acronym VUCA. It stands for volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. And yeah, that pretty much perfectly describes a world where entire business models get disrupted overnight, and the skills you have today, they could be totally obsolete tomorrow. And listen, this is not just some abstract business idea. It has a staggering human cost. In the US alone, all this excessive workplace stress adds up to $190 billion in healthcare costs every single year, and it contributes to hundreds of thousands of deaths that didn't need to happen. We are, to put it simply, way too tired and way too sick.
Okay, so if the old rule book is useless and the speed of change is just crushing us, what are we supposed to do? Do we just paddle harder and hope we don't hit a rock? Or is there maybe a better way to navigate the whitewater?
This is where the whole idea of Tomorrowmind comes into play. See, the answer isn't about working harder or putting in more hours. It's about developing a very specific set of psychological skills. Think of it as a mental toolkit that's custom-built for the future of work.
And in this toolkit, there are 5 essential tools. First step, you've got resilience, which is all about bouncing back from setbacks. Then there's prospection, the skill of really imagining and planning for different possible futures. Third is creativity, so you can solve new problems. Fourth, you need meaning and mattering, that deep down motivation that keeps you going. And finally, number 5, social connection, because let's be honest, we're always stronger together.
But the one skill that everything else is built on, the real bedrock of the Tomorrowmind, is resilience. In a world that's defined by constant shocks and failures, being able to not just survive, but to actually bounce back stronger, that is absolutely critical.
And this is not just some fluffy, feel-good concept. Just look at the numbers here. Research shows that companies with a more resilient workforce see 320% more year-over-year growth than their competitors. Resilience, it turns out, is a massive competitive advantage.
Okay, so how do you actually build it? Well, here's a super practical tool. It's called putting it in perspective. So next time you find yourself catastrophizing, your brain just jumps to the absolute worst conclusion. Stop. First, just name that worst case thought. Then, you force yourself to imagine the absolute best possible outcome. And finally, and this is the most important part, you brainstorm at least 3 way more realistic, most likely scenarios. It's a simple exercise, but it trains your brain for what's called cognitive agility, which is a huge part of being resilient.
So, what does this actually look like in the real world? Let's go back to Graham Payne. He was at rock bottom. He truly thought his career was over for good. So, what did he do?
He basically put his entire Tomorrowmind toolkit to work. Instead of staying paralyzed by despair, he leaned on his social connection,
reaching out to everyone in his network for support and advice. He used prospection to look past the current disaster and imagine a future where this horrible experience was actually an asset. That let him tap into his creativity, and he built a whole new consultancy from the ashes of his old career. And most importantly, he found a new sense of meaning and mattering by helping other companies avoid the exact same fate. He didn't just survive, he completely transformed.
As Graham himself says, some of our best lessons in life come from our mistakes. He didn't just bounce back, he literally grew stronger because of what he went through. He took the absolute worst moment of his professional life and turned it into the foundation for his entire next chapter. Now that is resilience in action.
So here's the bottom line. The whitewater world of work isn't on its way, it's already here. The chaos, the uncertainty, the speed, that's the new normal. So we can either get tossed around by the currents, or we can build the skills to actually navigate them. The tools are right there for us, so the only real question left is, are you ready to build your tomorrow mind?